Winter Bells by Penstroke. Chapter 6. Overhead. 5 minutes to curtain! The cast and crew of the pageant bustled as final touches were made. Makeup was perfected, and costumes were adjusted. Props and set pieces were moved into place. Windows had been locked. The stage manager quickly dealt with any emergency that tried to rear its ugly head. In all, everything was going as smoothly as one could hope for a live performance. Except for the fact Fluttershy was hiding behind a wheeled rack of costumes, not wanting to go on stage.
Fluttershy, darling, I promise it's not that bad.
The princess poked her nose, and only her nose, out from a pair of costumes.
But you said it looked like there are more ponies out there than last year. Only one or two, I assure you.
Really? Pinkie Pie says he bounced up beside Rarity.
Looks like to me there's a whole lot more than that. Like, I bet there's 542, especially if you count the ponies sitting in the balcony they put up.
Fluttershy whimpered.
They put up a balcony? Oh yeah, it's almost full. That's why I said there's easily another 542 ponies out there. I was so excited when I saw the balcony. I ran up there and ended up counting all the seats. There's 555 seats up there, and maybe there's some more ponies coming in.
Pinkie Pie nodded and bounced slightly on her host.
Yipperoo! I bet it'll be a full house, just like last year. Well, except now there'll be 555 more ponies.
With another whimper, Fluttershy retreated back behind the costume rack. Rarity threw a glare at Pinkie Pie, then resumed her efforts to coax Fluttershy out. You suppose we ought to try, I hope. Twilight shook her head. She was standing with Applejack a few dozen feet away, watching the scene around the costume rack unfold. All I could do that Rarity can't is try to pull Fluttershy out with my levitation magic. We all know how well that went the first year we did the pageant. Yeah, Applejack said with a chuckle. I suppose we could just trust Rarity. Criterion C's the one that taught Fluttershy into a fashion model. 3 minutes to curtain! Twilight and Applejack turned to the voice that was calling. Nyx was walking around with a watch around her neck, shouting as loud as her voice would allow. It was a sight that made Twilight grin. It made me grin, too. I'm glad Princess Celestia asked if Nyx could help out with the pageant, even if she just stays past days. Yeah, it was nice of her, Applejack said, as she adjusted her costume hat, which just didn't feel right on her head. What's the name of that job the stage manager gave her again? Clock manager, Twilight answered. She's supposed to make sure we start on time, that the intermission doesn't last too long, that we all have about a 5-minute warning before we need to go on stage. Does she know most pages don't need a clock manager? Yes, she does, but she's not letting that stop her, Twilight said, before giggling a little and leaning into Applejack. In fact, I think she's out to prove that a clock manager can help a play run a lot more smoothly. Wyatt, or prove to the stage manager she can do more than just watch the watch, Applejack said back, a small chuckle in her own voice.
1 minute to curtain. Spike, are you ready?
The two mares couldn't help but laugh again as Nyx jogged off, quickly making sure Spike was on stage and ready.
Again with the cuteness!
Still, they needed to be in their own places soon enough, and after a quick few words of good luck, Applejack and Twilight began to mix with the other actors and actresses getting ready on stage. But, as many of the performers got into their places, a pair remained in their vanity. One was reading a script frantically, the other was touching his makeup slowly, a cover for the fact he was watching every pony walk past in the reflection of the vanity mirror. Oh! What are you doing? Colin whispered, not taking his eyes off the mirror's reflections. I'm trying to learn my lines, Quicksnap replied. There's one scene in the play where almost every pony has to be on stage. If we don't go on with every pony, they'll know what's up. Do you mean the part of the play where the 3 leaders are meeting to discuss the food source? Yes, that one, Quicksnap said, as he turned his eyes back to the page. You mean the part of the play where no pony but Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash has any lines? We have a line, see? Quicksnap held the script up in front of Colin's eyes, using a free hoof to point at the line in question. It wasn't a real line. It was a sound effect. A gasp. They were gasped on cue a few times. They weren't supposed to actually say anything, and the fact that Quicksnap was panicking about gasping made Colin turn and look at him with a cold glare.
Seriously?
Colin whispered.
We're trespassing in the castle. At any moment, somebody may realize we don't belong. And you are practicing your gasping?
If we don't play our parts right, some pony will know something's wrong. Now, come on, practice your lines.
Have you forgotten why we came here?
Colin asked, before looking back to the mirror's reflection. He watched as Nick scowled off the stage, coming back into the dressing room as the pulleys that supported the curtain turned. The show was beginning, and it began as it always did, with the passage's fine narrator, once more played by Spike, reciting his opening lines. No, but we can't even get to her right now anyway. We'll have to wait until after the party.
We have to take the costumes off for the cast party, Quicksnap. We'll get recognized. We have to take the picture now.
But she's still got her white coat, Quicksnap said, glancing over his shoulder at Nyx, who was once more looking at the watch that hung from her neck. I thought you said we had to get a picture of her when its coat is a real color.
We do. But I finally figured out how Twilight's hiding her. I watched her adjust Nyx's headband earlier, when it almost fell off because she was bouncing around so happily. I bet my left hoof that headband is the linchpin of the illusion. We get that off of her, we'll be able to get out of picture.
You don't know that for sure. Besides, how are you going to get her to take it off?
I'm not. I'm going to take it off myself, Colin said. As soon as she's alone, I'll back her into a corner. Then, I take off the headband, and you stop the picture. Then, we get the heck out of Dodge.
But, you can't do that! Colin abruptly turned his head in Quicksnap's direction.
Can't run that by me again.
Colin, she's just a filly. You can't just bully her into a corner and snatch her headband off.
She's not a filly. Or don't you remember that I found a letter of pardon of her in her public archives? She is Nightmare Moon.
Yeah, but...
Don't get tricked by her,
Colin snapped, placing a hoof on his photographer's shoulder.
She may look cute and innocent, but she's not. That is Nightmare Moon, and all of Equestria deserves to know the truth. This is the story of the century, and we have a chance to break it.
Then let's break it right, Quicksnap argued. Let's wait and catch her when she's got the headband off back at her house, instead of trying to take it off here. I mean, if she screams, we'll have the castle guard, 3 princesses, and the most magically gifted unicorns that star-swirled and bearded coming down on our heads like a pack of Timberwolves!
Did you not hear? Get the heck out of Dodge part of the plan. Of course she's going to scream. But this is what we have to do. Equestria deserves to know the truth.
Colin said, punctuating his determination with a thump of his hoof against the vanity. You're obsessed, and more than usual, Quicksnap said, with a quick flurry of his wings. He removed the camera he had concealed beneath his costume and set it on the vanity. And I'm not going to help you physically attack a filly, even if we did have a chance of getting away.
You're on your own.
With that, Quicksnap turned and began walking towards the exit door. Colin was a few steps behind, using his magic to grab Quicksnap by the tail.
If you rat me out!
I'm not going to stop you, Colin, Quicksnap said flatly. He glanced back and tugged hard on his tail, pulling away from Colin's magic. I'm just not helping you anymore.
Fine. I hope you enjoy taking pictures at weddings and cute scenarios for the rest of your life. You know why? Because we're done, and you can forget about sharing the byline.
You can keep it, Quicksnap said, before taking another step. He was out the exit door soon after, leaving Colin stewing. Colin, however, didn't linger. He didn't let the departure of his photographer and friend of 2 years face him. He couldn't let it go to him, not when he was so close. He went back to the vanity, picked up the camera, and began to hide it beneath his own costume. He'd break the story himself. He'd blow the story wide open, and every pony would then know the truth. Every pony would know of the mockery of justice that had been performed behind closed door by their own princesses. He would get the picture of Nyx he needed, and he would wait until every pony could rush to say the helper was on stage. He would wait for the Wendigo scene. Nyx slowly craned her head over the edge, looking down the catwalks above the stage. She was there with shining cicadas, watching as the cave scene played out. Rainbow Dash was carrying Fluttershy across the stage, using her hoof to draw a line in the metaphorical dirt. Before long, all of them would begin fighting, shouting, and soon the leaders would be frozen. In all, it would take about a minute, maybe two, for the scene to play out before Cadance and Shining Armor were supposed to make their entrance. Nyx had gotten them into place with the perfect amount of time to spare.
Nyx, be careful. You don't want to fall off.
Quickly pulling her head back from the edge, Nyx looked over at Cadance just as the princess took off from the catwalk, like a feather on the wind. She got into position, flapping her wings carefully so as not to disturb the curtains or any part of the set. Shining Armor, too, rose in the air, though his flight was assisted by a unicorn stallion looking up at them from the backstage. When the moment came, the moment where Shining and Cadance were to reveal themselves, Nyx bit her lip, then smiled as Cadance did much better than she had during the afternoon performances. Unleashing a window cry, she and Shining Armor descended on the stage. The sound sent shivers down the spines of many of the audience. It wasn't as good as Celestia's, but it was far better than the childishly spooky noises Cadance had used earlier. And despite Cadance's warning, Nyx poked her head out over the rafters, smiling ear to ear as she watched the performance continue below. Twilight hugged Fluttershy and Applejack in the center of the stage as the lights began to fade and tighten, as if the cold, frozen grip of the Wendigo's magic was closing in on them. Darker and darker the stage got as Twilight, Applejack, and Fluttershy performed their parts. Closer and closer the danger seemed to loom. Nyx had seen the same many times that afternoon, but it was still tense, at least for her. Soon, only a single spotlight remained on, and the pony operating it was tightening the beam down on the three mares just below. "Thanks, Twinkleside!"
No problem.
It was then the catwalk shifted a little bit, making Nyx flinch and quickly pulled back from the edge. On instinct, she looked back over her shoulder, and her heart skipped a beat at the sight of a stallion just behind her. He was dressed like one of the actors, an earth pony, but she could clearly see the glow from his horn. That same glow was starting to wrap around her headband. The pony was lifting something up from his chest as well.
No more hiding, Nightmare Moon.
I need an adult.
I am an adult.